Okay, well, we are live, and want to welcome anyone who joins us in the next half hour or so. I want to welcome Cyndy Jacobson, who is here with us today. This is part of our ongoing candidate interviews, and with the Fife Milton Edgewood Chamber of Commerce. My name is Laura Butterfield, and I'm the president and CEO of the chamber. And like I said, joining me today is Cyndy Jacobson, who is running for the 25th District Legislative District Representative. Thank you for joining us, Cyndy. We're glad you could be here. And let's just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and why you decided to run for office.
Yeah, so I am Cyndy Jacobson, running for the 25th District. Thanks, Laura, for having this forum. It's great. I work closely in my job in the Puyallup City Council with the Puyallup Sumner Chamber of Commerce, so I look forward to adding the Fife Milton Chamber of Commerce to my list of folks that I follow and attend meetings for. I am, as I mentioned, on the Puyallup City Council, and I've been there for about 2.5 years. Before that, I've just been a lifelong Washingtonian, mom of 7 kids. I was a math teacher at Pierce College, just transitioning out of that.
Did you say 7 kids?
7 kids, yeah. Okay, that usually is what always happens. Wait, back that up.
Yeah, so I have 5, and people usually say, "What? That's a lot of kids with 5, but 7."
Yeah, well, our twins, at the very end, moved us from 5 to 7.
Wow.
So we raised those kids in Puyallup. I'm just a regular person. We had to make choices between, paying bills and getting organic produce, or, all the different choices that you make raising a family. And we had to make them. And we're happy that we now have grown kids and 9 grandkids around here. So anyway, so just on the Puyallup City Council with a message of keeping our taxes low, making sure that we have sensible solutions about mental health. In Puyallup, one thing that I'm proud of us having done is fully staffed our police force in the last 2.5 years. So we support our law enforcement, and we want to, defend them and train them, not defund. So that's something. And then mental health solutions. We can't just let people live by the side of the road if they're mentally ill. That's just not compassionate. We need to make sure that we get some ways to funnel people into the appropriate treatment that they need. And then taxes are always an issue. And I began my journey running for office. I was asked to run last September. And so this was before COVID. But now that COVID has hit, we've got $9 billion, close to $9 billion in a budget shortfall that we need to address coming back to Olympia. I think we probably should have had a special session by now. We could have had one back in July, and we could have addressed some of the increases that were coming on board then. So we're going to have our work cut out for us in the legislature in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. You definitely will. Let's talk for just a moment about the 25th district boundaries. I know that because I think there's a lot of people who are not quite sure about where the boundaries are. So I'm going to share my screen here so people can kind of see. But it's basically Puyallup, Fife, lots of unincorporated areas of Pierce County.
Yeah. So also Summit, Parkland, South Hill. So okay. And you can see I've got that same map on my wall right in front of me. So it's a big district, and you can see the city limits of Puyallup, where I'm a council member in there, but it's not just Puyallup. It is definitely Fife up there in the north, and South Hill, Edgewood, Summit, not Edgewood, excuse me, South Hill, Summit, Parkland, as well, up to PLU.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's a pretty big district area.
Yeah. We've been doorbelling. We've been out doorbelling, so I'm getting a lot more familiar with it and hearing from people what their issues are out in the district. Yeah. Most of the issues are the same, though, when we talk to people. one of the biggest things I'm hearing is, why aren't schools open, and how in the world am I going to put food on the table while I'm homeschooling my kids? So that's a big issue I'm hearing right now. And we're doorbelling, but distance doorbelling. We're doing it responsibly. We drop the literature off and then jump back, kind of like CrossFit. We just jump right back. It's good exercise. And so we're 10 feet, literally 10 feet from people. I'm literally talking to people from their yards. But
I was going to ask you how that's working for you, how the doorbelling is working.
Yeah, and so we're hearing it's pretty similar. A couple years ago when we were doorbelling, and I was privileged to doorbell for some of our candidates that we have that were came in a couple years ago, Chris Gildon and Kelly Chambers. We were mostly hearing mental health, homelessness, and now we're hearing that some. We're hearing that people are tax weary. And we're also hearing that people are worried about the schools. That's just a big personal issue for people. And to me, it's an equity issue. So those are the things we're hearing, but I don't hear much difference in the areas. Like, I don't hear a specific issue as much in Fife. A couple times, we've been able to go ahead and refer people to their Fife city council people or on a particularly local issue. But most of the issues seem to be, people are concerned about the same stuff in the 25th. So that's good.
Have you done much doorbelling in the Fife area?
Yeah, we have. We've done. Yeah.
So and they're saying those same things, that the schools and because Fife the boundaries are so weird for everything around here. The school boundaries, there's a part of Fife that's in the Fife school district and part that's in the Puyallup school district. So yeah, that's interesting to hear.
The school boundaries in Puyallup are weird too, because everybody thinks if they are in the Puyallup school district that they're in Puyallup, and really only 1/3 of the Puyallup school district has Puyallup city limits in it. So we try to cooperate really well with our Puyallup school district on the council, but there's a lot more to the Puyallup school district than just Puyallup.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about business recovery. How, as a state legislator, what impact do you think you could make on the recovery?
So yeah, first of all, we missed a chance with the special session, but that's done for. I think we need to make sure that we get rid of the impediments to business and open as quickly and safely as possible. Right now, we maybe should consider some sort of B&O tax rebate. I don't think we need to change our tax structure to come up with money for this shortfall unless it's revenue neutral. So I don't think now is the time to be tweaking the tax structure too much, but maybe give some sort of a B&O tax credit to businesses that have been hurt. It's going to be rough getting back. We just mainly need to focus on getting back quickly and safely so that people can reopen. I mean, I talked to businesses who are saying, one business in particular I just talked to yesterday, their rent is $8,000 a month and they were shut down for 90 days. So,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
24K, they're just out with no business. So we just need to make sure that we get out of the way for business.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I've talked to so many businesses who are same situation, just struggling. Some of them have opened, some of them haven't opened all the way, and some of them haven't opened yet. And it's definitely a struggle. I just feel so bad for those businesses that are struggling. But I do have to say that there have been some good resources out there to help businesses. The PPP program, although that's it's run out. And Pierce County has some good resources. So there's definitely people that are trying to help, and hopefully we'll get us another stimulus package soon.
Right, because I think like in Puyallup too, we've had business grants because we've had some of the CARES funding, and I think that I'm scared that when these things are going to stop is right when things are going to be hitting the fan. So we need to keep going with that momentum, I hope. So
Okay, well, let's move on then. Let's talk a little bit. Let's talk about workforce development a little bit. This is a subject that's near and dear to our heart here at the chamber because we have put a lot of effort in the last couple of years into workforce development and developing a program with the Fife School District. It's called our STEAM Career Day. The Fife School District they're also in the middle of building their STEAM Innovation Center. So there's a lot of activity going on in that area. And there's with the changing job environment right now, workforce development, I think, is going to be more important than ever. Just because I think that we'll start seeing people switching careers. And how in the legislature, what are some things you think the legislature can do to facilitate workforce development?
Yeah, I think I was a community college teacher and I'm just transitioning out of that for 10 years. And so I was teaching basic math, which is so fun. But most of the people that I was getting, a lot of them were transitioning in their careers. And so they needed the math they needed to just get moving on the next step of their life. So what we need to do is, I think, empower our community colleges, empower apprenticeship programs so that we can, get people into jobs, not piles of student loan debt. So whatever the market is demanding, we need to make a way for the community colleges to respond to that so that kids, adults, people who are re-entering. I mean, I was a re-enter the workforce gal when I was 50. I hadn't worked in years except odd jobs tutoring. And it was rough. It was rough getting back into the workforce. And so we need to provide pathways for people. And I think our community colleges are really well suited to do that. And then again, not everybody needs to go to college. Maybe they can get an apprenticeship program and get right into a job and be a lot happier and, save themselves a lot of student loan debt.
Right. All right. Thank you. Moving on, let's go to transportation. As you know, Fife transportation has always been an issue here in Fife, and we've worked hard to get 167 brought here and finished, and they're finally, thankfully, has started working on that, and we're excited about that. What other transportation issues or projects do you see in the next year coming up?
Well, first of all, I think we need to resist the temptation to make too many cuts there because it's complicated when you think about, for instance, bus services. That's a huge equity piece for people to be able to get back and forth to work. It's a huge equity piece for mental health, handicapped folks to have those trips. So when we canceled some of that, back during a recession, then what we're doing is we're canceling people who are needing trips to the doctor or mentally ill or handicapped people. So we need to be really careful and strategic as we look at that. But as far as transportation as a whole, I think that we need, our gridlock is a function of the fact that we've had the Growth Management Act on board in part for years. Entities that have Growth Management Act type of bills on board tend to have higher house prices and more traffic congestion. So right now, the Growth Management Act is not serving us very well. We have a Vision 2050, which is planning for 12 new jobs in Seattle for every 10 new housing units. And in Puyallup, the city limits, not out in broader Puyallup, but in the city limits of Puyallup, it's planning for 5 new jobs for every 10 new housing units. So if you build all the housing units down south and a lot of the jobs up north, we're going to be stuck in gridlock. So if we could figure out a way, and the Growth Management Act, was originally intended to preserve farmland, but it's not even doing that because developers can buy mitigation credits and that's just, gone by the wayside. So we need to take a look at that to make sure that the South End down here is getting a fair shake on transportation dollars and policies. So that's one thing. And we could get some economic development down here and we'd be a little less worried about transportation because there would be less traffic because our jobs would be closer to home. So that's ideally what we should be doing. And that's kind of long-term and city council-ish, techie-ish, but that's that's what I think there.
I think it was a great explanation of the Growth Management Act. A lot of people wonder about that, and they hear about it and they're not quite sure exactly what it means. And they get upset when they see apartments being built in their town, and yeah. And
because we're required to have these urban growth areas and to have this kind of density in certain areas, and our comprehensive plan, which is dictated by the Growth Management Act, requires us to do that. And solutions are always better locally. If the local people can figure out solutions, that's always better than some big broad mandate from the state. So that's why we need to revamp that, I think, because it causes us to make decisions that are not always smart locally.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so let's move on to housing. We, I guess, touched on that a little bit, but let's get a little bit deeper into housing. There's a housing shortage, and there probably will be for quite some time. What are some of the steps you think we can take to mitigate that problem?
I love the 1406 where we get a little sales tax rebate in Puyallup, and I assume in Fife as well for getting affordable housing units. And I love that because it's just money back from the state that goes down locally where we can figure out how to use it. I hope we can even get a regional partnership going with some of that money. And again, I hate to keep harping on this, but if we were to revamp the Growth Management Act, we could get jobs, more of a nexus between where the jobs are and where the houses are, and housing could be more affordable. And, again, always promoting a robust economy, because that, people are able to buy homes better in a robust economy. Bringing down costs of building, any kind of bureaucracy that we can eliminate, more variety of housing choices. I mean, I've talked to people from the manufactured home community, and it's so wonderful. I would live in a manufactured home. I don't happen to, but that can be a wonderful option for families that are looking to have their homes more affordable. So encouraging a variety of housing choices, and trying to get the decisions a little more local as best as possible for me.
How do you feel about the tiny homes?
I feel like if people want a nice tiny home village, and maybe they've got a common area that's beautiful, and they have their tiny homes in a tiny home community, I feel like that can be a great option for people.
Yeah.
A friend of mine is advocating for that, and I finally one day said, yeah, you're right. That could be a great option for people.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's move on to mental health. As we know, which kind of goes hand in hand with the housing issue. Mental health is a big issue, especially, I see it here in Fife, in front of my office. I've just talked to one of my chamber members the other day who is having an issue in front of his office that's just down the road here on 99, and he's seeing a lot of homeless people and more mental health issues than I don't know. I think that there's just a lot of mental health issues that are on people on the streets. So, what type of things do you think the legislature can do to address mental health?
Yeah, this mental health is an issue that's close to home for me. It's close to home because on the council we're dealing with it. It's close to home because it's literally close to my home where I'm at right now. I can walk down to a homeless encampment pretty comfortably. And when you think about homelessness, a lot of the problems associated with homelessness have the dual problems of mental health and addiction are associated with the reasons. And for folks who don't have those problems, I'm not going to say it's easy to get them out of the problem of homelessness, but it's an easier task. And if we have people who are mentally ill, It's not compassionate at all to leave them down there by the river or down there by the Ording Trail where I'm near and let them be victimized. We have got to, for instance, Steve O'Ban has a bill that he's been proposing about guardianship for mentally ill individuals, where the families can literally take guardianship of someone and get them the treatment that they need. It's just not compassionate to require them to have the wherewithal to make decisions on their own behalf when you've got a severe degree of mental illness. So getting people to the treatment that they need. It's a complicated issue.
Yeah.
I did the NAMI, National Association. NAMI, it's a mental health advocacy group in Washington. I did their forum, and mostly the reason I did their forum was to listen, because I would want to use resources like that, because people who have mentally ill children, for instance, are super active in NAMI, and we can hear what they're saying would be, great policy and what they're advocating for too. So collaborate, get good policy, get people toward the treatment that they need.
Yeah. Thank you. So finally, I want to talk a little bit about economic development, and I think you touched on this a couple of different times, but it's really important to have a strong business community. And what are some things we can do to grow the business community and foster economic development?
Yeah, and I have talked about that, because I do value our business stakeholders. Small businesses provide jobs, and they provide the quality of life that we want. And there's nothing wrong with big businesses either. They're providing jobs in our area. So I love to support our local business stakeholders, and I would love to support them as effectively as possible with reasonable tax policy. Obviously, if there's environmental impacts, we need to use taxes to address those. And I think most businesses are willing to pay their fair share, but we need to avoid any, capricious regulations. Right now, we need to get them back to work. We need to figure out a way, to get everybody back to work at 100% as quickly and safely as possible. And I think that's going to be job one, getting back to the legislature for our businesses. Another issue that I didn't touch on, the unemployment. If you've got people collecting unemployment right now, and the businesses are being charged, their records being charged with that, we probably need to come in when the legislature gets back into session and take a look at what kinds of things we can do to give some grace on all that unemployment they had to give out, because their rates are based on their record. So we need to maybe take a peek at that as well. Just support our business stakeholders in their important work of providing jobs and doing the real work of our economy. Let's face it, politicians aren't doing the real work of the economy. It's our business stakeholders.
Right. So. Yeah, that's super important. Well, so we've reached the end of my topics, and I wanted to send it back to you. Do you have anything that we didn't talk about that you'd like to talk about? Any final closing comments that you'd like to make?
Not really. I have a list of topics that I've prepped based on answers in various forums that I've given. You didn't mention climate change. I think we do need to take a look in this state at proper forest fire management, because in a bad forest fire season, you can release as much carbon into the atmosphere as the entire transportation industry releases in the whole year. So, and that's a quote from the National Science Foundation. So I think we need to take a look at reasonable and good forest management. We need to maybe take a look at harvesting timber and helping our schools, which obviously schools are, everyone can agree that we need great schools. It's a great equity tool for people to be able to have equal access to great education. So, let's maybe take a peek at how we handle our forest management, and maybe get some funding for schools. I don't know if everybody remembers, but we used to say we would get our funding from schools from the forest management. And then we also used to say, when we started the lottery, that we were going to that was going to be solely dedicated to schools, the the lottery money. So I don't know where all these things go by the wayside, but it would be nice if we could get dedicated revenue streams to keep enhancing and continuously improving our schools.
Yeah.
So a lot of little details there at the end.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. Well, I want to thank you and for joining me and having this conversation today. And I would ask that anyone who watches this now or later, that you would share it. And it's a part of our electoral process that we get to know the candidates, and we really want our members and everyone to know who our candidates are, who's going to be on the ballot. It's always good to be informed when you go to cast your vote. And let's see, I think that's everything that I have, but I'm going to ask you to stick around for just a couple of minutes, Cyndy, and then just thank you for everyone, and we will see you next time. I think my next interview will be Wednesday. I'll be interviewing Chris Gildon, who is running for State Senate. So thank you all, and have a great day.
Thank you.